Okay, welcome back to part 2. Those of you who have not died of boredom from part 1, as you can see, I've cleared up a lot of the project, and what I've done, I've popped some strings in the breakdown. Now, don't worry, a lot of you are screaming saying, why is your breakdown not even 8 bars here? Yeah, 8, 8, 8, that's wrong, it should be 32 bars long, not 24. I know that, I'm about to put one in, but this is what I've done so far. I've got a set of low strings, aptly named low strings, high strings, and then strings final build up. These are the low strings. They just follow the bass note of this. So I've got the high strings, which layer with the low strings to get a lot of depth, and then the strings final build up is just one note of a high F just to add tension, but the volume's a bit turned down, so it's not as audible, but it is there, you feel it. And I like high strings. High notes in general, like risers, tend to build suspense, so the audience or the listeners know that a drop is coming. It's a good way of getting people on the dance floor to sort of pay attention to the drop. Last thing you want is for a big drop to come in and everybody's looking around going, what the hell has happened? So strings, snares, you can put them together to get quite a decent build up. What I'm doing now, I'm just throwing in sweeps up, sweep downs and sweep up to sort of not fill in the gaps, but just so it's not just crashes and strings. So you are tell nobody Oh, there's a bit of a hiccup here with the acapella. I best trim that. As you can see, the acapella wasn't perfectly timed. I think it was like 24 bars, then it would come back into the drop, whether it's a radio edit or whatnot. So I've copied this section and pasted it again. One big thing missing from any bounce track, well, this track, but one big thing from any bounce track is this particular reverb kick. Now you hear it in a lot of Fitzy Rossi B, a lot of MJ. This is the sample. Any Fitzy, any MJ is going to have this. What they tend to do is they'll put two quite close to each other, so it sounds like this. Reverb kicks are brilliant for adding atmosphere, so I'm going to add a few in here. Can you see how much of a difference all this white noise and sweep and crashes and little fills and reverb kicks make, as opposed to it just being strings and crash on its own? It sounds more full, sounds more rich. So you are tell nobody tell nobody tell nobody tell nobody I walked in the corner with the body steaming up. Never saw the back when looking like I love it. This gon' make them feel the way I told it. You know it. You already know it. You already know it. I walked in the corner with the money on my face. She might get it poppin', I might wife it for it. I already know, already open it up. done here is I've got a build up of the MJ Dink sample with a little filter over the top of it. And then here I've got a whoop sound effect, which I have trimmed the end, made the last one a little bit longer, so it sounds like this. Pitched it up a little bit, but I don't like it. This is what it sounds with, and this is what it sounds without. On a track like this, all it takes is a little sample like that to make it sound childish. Because it is a dinky melody, it's already cheesy. So if it was something like a Clubhead's dink, such as this, if I can find it, there's two. There's a high pitch and a low one. Where is it? It begins with the letter K, obviously. If it was the Clubheads, here we go, or Hyper Inexperience in effect, if it was that dink, then it sounds quite serious. But when you've got the MJ dink, this one, it's cheesy. A dink or a ting, it's cheesy, so you've got to be really careful with your melody, because if you put too many incorrect samples, the song will sound cheesy. This is the other Clubhead sample, so just to show you what that would sound like. I do this a lot. I will chop and change samples to hear what my melody sounds like with different samples in it. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Right. Problem here, let me just trim that down. Let's pitch it up an octave and see what it sounds like high up. See, it's too cheesy. Even if it was an octave lower, to get a bit more seriousness to it, and if I take out the Clubhead's woo, yeah, low dinks can sound good, but not with that melody. It takes a certain melody to make a low dink sound good. Need to pitch it up an octave. Right, I'm quite happy with that. The only thing I don't know what to do is a sequence with this bit of the acapella, because the main part that you listen on the radio edit, or whatever you listen to on the radio, is this drop. People know these lyrics. Now the lyrics change at the other half of the song. Not a lot of people know it, and if I'm going to do a drop, I don't really want to do it with lyrics that people don't know. Now I know it's only a really short song, it's literally 3 minutes 10 seconds long, but this is just an example. This probably won't go on SoundCloud as is. You probably have a lot of work done. As you can see, there's 32 bars there on the build up, and then a small 16 bar drop. Then you've got a breakdown that's just 24 bars, which is too short. Either something needs to be added or something needs to be done with the acapella. Whether I have 8 bars worth of snare build up and I do something with the acapella, or I just add another 8 bars worth of strings at the beginning. But that's where it can get a bit dangerous. I see people with like 64 bar build ups, and you tend to lose steam. I feel like a 32 bar is perfect. I didn't write the techno gospel or the hard dance gospel, but 32 seems to be perfect enough. And then same again with the drop, nothing more than 32. Otherwise, you either need to do something with your bass pattern around here after your 32, or you need to switch it up a bit, which is why on a lot of my tracks you'll hear a cowbell come in, or this whoop, or something happen to, or I'll cut the acapella, so you'll have 16 bars with the acapella and then 16 without, with a difference in the melody. Fitzy Rossi B do that quite a lot. If you listen to the really old stuff, you listen to the melodies, they'll drop, and then they'll drop the same melody with the sample played over the top, an octave above. Listen to All Around the World by Fitzy Rossi B, you'll hear it. Majority of the tracks, the ones with Nelly Furtado in it, they'll have a drop. After the breakdown, they'll drop it with one dinky riff, one dinky sample, and then they'll do it again, another 8 or 16 bars, normally 8, but they'll cut the acapella and they'll change the melody so that it's got 2 layers, an octave above, and it just sounds better. It's because it's different to the audience's ears, it still sounds fresh, you don't get bored of it. Last thing you want is to have a repetitive, boring song, which is why things like speed garage and stuff like that I don't listen to. So what I'm going to do now is save the file. I'm going to move this part of the drop across. I'm going to move it all across, should I say. So I'm going to highlight it all. And I'm going to come right to the start of the strings here. Switch back to the pencil tool and drag it across. 8 bars, just like that. And then I'm going to put the low strings in just so that the breakdown is a nice length. If it's an uneven length, if it's just 24 bars, then it won't sound right to the ear. You can tell when something doesn't sound right. For example, right, listen to this, just as an example. If I moved this bass sequence there, so there's 6, and then on the 7th it's a difference, you'll notice with your ears. See, it didn't sound right, it sounded as if there was still something yet to play, but when you do it as 8 it sounds correct. Now this little drop here comes from an Oblivion Project song. Ash Miralston did, he had like an acid bass drop over the top of a very low bass. Can't remember the song. I used it in one of my own productions. I can't remember the exact track that I used it to, but he had a low bass and then he dropped his acid bass over the top. If I could find it, I'd play it right now for you. I don't think you'd appreciate it if I did it though. Low bass and acid bass, and it sounds like this layered. So back to the breakdown. I'm going to play the breakdown, and what I do, I'll listen to it 4, 5, 6 times and listen if I can make any changes to the strings, if I can make any changes to the sweeps, if I can make any changes to the acapella, I will do. So what I'm going to do there, I'm going to put 2 of the reverb kicks, just so it doesn't sound copy and pasted.
So you want
I'm going to cut out the kick, I'm going to cut out the loop, the whoop, hi-hat, cowbell, bass, everything. I'm just going to have the last bit of the melody with some sort of a filter over the top of it, just to regain the audience's attention. Wow, that's massive. Let me just quickly delete this. Change it right the way down to this. Great. Just adding to the track basically. That's what I mean about trial and error. I'll play the same bit 10 times just to get it how I like it. And then, whilst the track is only 3 minutes long, I do need to do another big breakdown and drop, but I need to do something different. I can't just copy and paste the entire section, otherwise it'll sound rubbish. So same again. Actually, what I'm going to do here, as well as that, I'm going to put the crowd in the background. What I deleted from part 1. Vengeance crowd effects 3. I'm going to line it up perfectly. See how now the breakdown is 32 bars and the drop is 32 bars. Everything seems to be more ordered when it's, so I know the introduction is 8, it goes 8 and then 32 and then 8 and then 32 and then 32. If you go 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, you'll lose rhythm with the track. If you just go loads of 32s, the track will sound boring. So this way of doing it is probably the best way to do it. Not necessarily the best. What I meant by that was to break it up, do 16, 8, 32, 8, 16, just to add some variety to the track. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fiddle with the last bit of the acapella and I'm going to do a video on that and I'll label that part 3.